Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Bender with Kilo, and we're back with a podcast with Josh Hunt, the Chief Visionary Officer and founder of Bolt. So hi, Josh. I'm so excited to chat with you today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. Just heard a lot about Kilo and what you guys, are going to be doing and how you guys are going to be quantifying that data for men. Super on board, super, passionate about, personal development. And that's, what you guys are about. So love to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So tell me first and foremost, like more about your origin story. So more about you and more about Bolt.
Okay. Let's see. It's a great question. Origin story. Where do I start? Probably from the beginning. Origin.
Mhm.
I would say I'm originally from California. I I grew up pretty poor, for better lack of words. But that's kind of what like shaped where I am today. So it's kind of where I want to start. So growing up, with four brothers and one sister, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. All four of us, my brothers, we were in apartment, one bunk bed on one side, other bunk bed on the other side. Just always having, it was never a dull moment, because you're waking up, your brother's foot's in your face. You just get up, start fighting, go outside, play basketball, play football. That was just like my life. Where it kind of took a turn was when I was kind of getting into a lot of trouble in 7th, 8th grade. I was kicked out a few times from a public school, where we used to go pick up groceries at a pantry at the Salvation Army. They had this option to, or one day they had like this drawing for a scholarship for this private school, and my mom actually reached out to them. We didn't win the drawing, but they actually were gracious enough to grant me a scholarship, and I went to a private school, and that's kind of when my whole perspective or paradigm, maybe I would even say even then, shifted, because I was just surrounded by different people, and different experiences started happening. I would go to my friends like Mary house or Trevor, and obviously, I'm like, wow, you have a pool in your backyard? Like, this is possible? Like, like this is stuff you only see on TV when you're growing up in the hood like that, and where I was from. So it was very new to me. It made me be very curious, and I was also playing sports at the time, so I was surrounded with great people, great coaches, and that also just edified the things that I was seeing outside of school, and outside of my home. I grew up in a pretty decent home though, in terms of like my mom was there, my dad was there. They were both Christians, and it was just it's, if I'm being honest, it was kind of confusing because like they kind of just rely on God to do things, and
Mhm.
it's a very thin line. You got to obviously put in that action and things like that. But no disrespect to my parents, they did an awesome job in raising us, because like all of my brothers are now are entrepreneurs, and own their own businesses, and working or even working towards that. So it's really cool to see you. Obviously, what they did something right, in terms of you know raising us. But back to the beginning. I ended up graduating from Duncanville when I moved out to Dallas, and I went there for 1 year, and it was that was even another experience. And these experiences that I'm gonna be sharing is what kind of like shaped my life. I'm definitely gonna emphasize on experiences because that's now exactly what Bolt creates. And I'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But going to Duncanville definitely was like going to a college. I never went to a school that big. Like I said, I was 7th, 8th grade, ended up getting kicked out of public school, went to a private school. Like, I mean, I think their graduation class was probably like somewhere around like 15, 20 people.
Mhm.
So it was, when I went to Duncanville for my last year, it was just like you graduating with 1,200 people. So it's completely different. Um, that, gave me my identity, and I just kind of had like, I was kind of like that guy, if you will, in high school. my senior year, just 'cause I was fresh, I was new there. It's my first year playing 12 or 11-man football, and I ended up doing really well. I got like several offers from D1 colleges. I was like newcomer of the year. People didn't even know who I was. It was my first time just going to 11-man football. That's just a testament to me being able to just pick up something and just learning it really quickly. That that's just that's that instinct that you have when you come from these type that type of background. You just got to learn, move on the fly, do things on the fly. You never know what's going to happen. Kind of mindset. And from there, I chose to go to Wake Forest because I had a passion for business. I don't know why, honestly. Like I just always had that entrepreneur kind of mindset. Um, Wanting to, I don't know if it was because I moved around a little bit when I was a kid, or if it was because, I wanted to do my own thing, and I was just like, I can't be controlled, or I don't know what it is or what it was then, but that's what definitely drove like my passion to want to go to a great business school. Get there, truth be told, um, I was suspended
Mhm.
uh, for plagiarism.
Mhm.
I had a young lady do my paper. I was going out of town, had a young lady do my paper. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's done something like this as a college kid, but I was definitely penalized for it. And that right there was, pretty detrimental to just everything that I had worked up to get to that point. And I sat in a boardroom at Wake Forest with like 8 guys that didn't look like me, and I'm being judged basically over plagiarism. It was like the wildest thing. It was definitely traumatizing as a freshman. And they wanted to suspend me, and I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. I basically charged to the game for better lack of words, and
Mhm.
I ended up going to a JUCO in Mississippi. That JUCO was in Mississippi. I just said that exactly. So that wasn't going to last long. It didn't work out for me. I was like, where am I? This is like, I feel like I was like in 1995 because of everything was just so outdated. And coming from like a prestige college like Wake Forest, where like the sidewalks were marble, going to like the least likely school to get funds from their city and things like that to help them improve. Um, was another thing that kind of just shaped my life where I am now and just my experiences. From there, I went to another JUCO. From that JUCO, I end up
What's a JUCO, Josh?
yeah. So a JUCO is a junior college, and I don't know if you're familiar with the show Next Chance U, but some of your viewers may be familiar with it. It's a second chance, basically, and kids who either fail out of high school or want to transfer out of their D1 college. It's something that you have to go to in order to go back to D1. So it's like an NCAA rule that they require you to go to a junior college. As like a catalyst to you for you to get back in a sense. So once I did that, I did really well there. So you're able to get more offers and things like that from other schools. So when you go to a JUCO, like you have colleges watching you and things like that again. So I started picking up more offers. Bounce back kid is what I was called, things like that. End up going to Sam Houston was where I finished, and I like to say finished because I actually, when I got there, I did really well. I was going to be a starter, and I got hurt literally like right before the first game in practice, and that's the killer. It wasn't even in the game; it was in practice, and that hurt is what I thought it was at the time. Turned into a microfracture midway through the season, and and this is like my junior year going into my senior year. That is what really shape shifted my career, my mindset, who I was going to be. It made me sit there in a bed with the leg brace that literally came from my hip to my ankle. Straight leg brace. Can't forget the straight leg. Because I couldn't take a dump. I was gonna cuss, sorry. couldn't
You
take
can cuss if you want.
okay. I couldn't take a dump to save my life without just like sweating and just being very uncomfortable, shower, everything. Just imagine like the most discomfort you could be in for about 8 months. That's what happened to me while I was playing there at Sam Houston. And I had a lot of time to think, as you would think. You can't really go anywhere. I'm not going to parties. I'm not going out. I'm not going, not doing those things, traveling or anything like that. I'm just pretty much stuck in the bed with my own thoughts, and these hydros. So it was something that I had to really sit there and reflect on my life and being like, how did I get here? Like, I was the star player in high school, did really well, even at the colleges that I bounced back from. I was doing really well. I was just naturally talented, but I wasn't able to take advantage of my opportunities. And I was just like, what is it with this? Like, what am I doing wrong? I wasn't even the type of kid who would like fail drug tests or anything like that. I would get in trouble for like always the smallest little things. Like, it would just be little small things, but coaches and parents and teachers, and they always seen this potential in me, and they always wanted to push me harder than other people. And that was just something I kind of feel like I experienced growing up. And I didn't want to have that woe is me, why me attitude. I've never really had that attitude, or like, why us, like, why isn't my family rich, or why can't I never really had that attitude. I think one of the greatest gifts I've ever received was just the the ability to understand, um, that like a sense of injustice isn't what gives you, it's better to be, let me say it like this, it's better to be optimistic than have that sense of injustice, because it just actually takes you away from your purpose. So once I understood that, I think that was like one of the greatest gifts, I received, you know, in college. Uh, so long story short, and this is what a lot of people don't know, I didn't even graduate. I had 12 hours left at Sam. I was just like so over it. I got stopped by a police officer, harassed. We were, it was like, true story. I was with my friend Chance, and um I mean, one cop car was like following us. I'm just like, is this cop car like following us? Out of nowhere, there was like, I kid you not, like 10 cop cars that just popped up, made us get out of the vehicle. I got on the floor, had assault rifles pointed at me, at us, and they were just like, they were basically just like, put your hands behind your back. I'm like, whoa, what did you do? I'm like asking my friend, like, yo, what did you do? He's like, what did you do? I'm like, bro, I didn't do anything. Our coaches end up having to come save us. Long story short to that, they thought we were some guys who robbed this liquor store or something. It was just really weird. And I, like, right then and there, with the knee brace on, I was just like, bro, I can't do this anymore. This is just like ridiculous. It was just like, I want to figure this out on my own, because I just I got engulfed with how business was running, and how that's all I could do. Like I said, and what I mean by business running is, I'm talking about the school, because if people don't know, business is the school is business. That is what it is. And football is a business. So getting hurt, I felt like, it wasn't even I felt like, I don't even want to use the feeling. I was definitely treated differently, and it was disheartening, because you saw it visibly. Like, if I was like a type of player to be able to return from this injury, which it wasn't, because the doctor said I wasn't. They would have took better care of me. I would have got golf carts. I would have got these things, but I had to find my own way. And then I was actually taken off a scholarship. I was taken off a scholarship because of this. And yeah, so I was gonna have to pay for my last semester. And mind you, I only had like 12 hours. I was just like, after the after the police and all that stuff, I was like, you know what, this is just not gonna work out for me right now. Like, if I'm gonna, if I want to return, I'll return. But for now, I just definitely need like a semester off. And left there, I went to work for Under Armour, back here in Dallas, actually. So I had a connection to Under Armour. Went straight to work with them. Really, really, really cool staff, really cool people. And there's another experience that I got to, take a hold of. I realized that I was really good at sales. I realized that I was really charismatic and cool. Excuse me, really cool with people, and people were able, like, to vibe with me, and they noticed that. And I actually had someone who came, excuse me, who came into Under Armour, was just like, hey man, you ever thought about starting your business or starting anything like that? And I'm just like, you know what? I never thought about it. But I'll never forget this guy, because this guy was like, hey man, I think you should start this. Here's my information. Let me know, if you're interested, or if you want to get started, I'll help you out. Really wealthy guy. I looked him up on, I think, Facebook. I don't know if I was using LinkedIn at the time. And I just kind of seen his, what he was doing from day to day and things like that. And I was just like, wow, I got really eager. I put something together, wrote him an email. I never heard from this person ever again. I was just like, yo, like he inspired me to quit my job and everything and start my own thing. And I never heard from this person. Just like now in hindsight, as I'm sharing this, I'm like, wait, was that an angel? Was like, who is this person? I can't ever, like, I never was able to find him again. I wasn't even able to find his email again. It was just really weird. Um, but needless to say, that's everything that happened right there is what led me to I guess start ETA Talent. Um, Actually, I forgot one small detail that was really important to starting ETA Talent. So I met a young lady who, after that, like I said, I'm back here in Dallas. I'm at Under Armour. I quit Under Armour, and I'm like, I'm about to start my own thing. In between that time, I met a young lady who graduated, and I said graduated from Brown University, and that's like going to Wake Forest. That's like an Ivy League school. She didn't look like me. She was Caucasian, and blonde hair, athletic, you know, attractive, whatever, things like the normal things that you would think that you would need to get like a really great job in corporate, or fulfilling job, I should say. I wouldn't say like you would need, but that, people look for and things like that. So needless to say, she didn't get the job that she wanted, that was fulfilling to her. Like she wasn't happy. And I'm just like, wait, so you mean to tell me you can go to college, you can go to a great school and still be in this position? And then you owe the amount of like a Lamborghini in student loans? I'm like, I mean, I didn't miss nothing. That's what I was thinking. And then, but that right there was like, I was always like a person who like looked at problems, and that may be what kind of made me want to be an entrepreneur. I looked at problems and I always like instantly thought of a solution in my head, or like I at least wanted to fix problems with solutions that I was able to come up with. And so I go to her and I'm just like, hey, like, how about, we work on something that helps other millennials like us that just gets out of college, that, that you're told, you're going to get, they tell us like, you graduate college, you get the best job you want, dream job, it's all yours. As soon as you graduate and you get that piece of paper and you're standing there looking like, wait, I don't just get the job that I was told or promised. And that's what happens to so many people. And we wanted to kind of just be like, uh, I would say consultants, catalysts, or whatever the thought process. Then we just wanted to help. So we just started forming, events that were based around experiences and just like trying to point these millennials and people like us in the right direction, with these corporate companies. Turns out that was recruiting. I had no idea at first. When we first started it, like we put together like just different business plans, on like how we're gonna like do this, or like what are we even gonna do. Um, it ended up being a recruiting agency, and we LLC'd it, started placing candidates within these corporations, and from there, this is how I kind of took what we were doing from ETA Talent, which was stood for Executive Talent Acquisition, and transfer that over to what I do now, and I'll get back to that. So in ETA Talent, I was, like I said, we place people, and it was they love to pay. They would love the the commute. They would like potentially their coworkers, but what they wouldn't like is the culture of the company. They would just be like, I don't really like the culture. So that right there is kind of like, I started like keeping tabs on that. And I started seeing like who really didn't like their culture, um, or just like what was happening within that company and like why didn't they like the culture, within that organization. And as I, progressed in this and kept going, it was more so about my fulfillment. Now, I know that I was placing people in positions, and this is where recruiting, no offense to anyone who's in recruiting, but this is where it gets a little unethical, because you just want to place people to get that bag, for lack of words. Like you want to place people just to get the money. Like you know that you could get 10K from this particular corporation if you get them a candidate that they want, but you may know that they may not be a culture fit, and you're still going to place them there regardless. You know what I mean? Um, and that's kind of where I started. I got into this business, not even say business, because to me it wasn't a business at first. It was just like I wanted to serve and help other people, and that's just always been me. Like even when I was younger, uh, the same Salvation Army that I was picking groceries up, I would be putting groceries in to help to have people come pick it up. You know what I mean? So like that's just always been me. Angel Tree and all that stuff, and I'm the same kid who's getting the toys. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to do something different. I basically convinced the team, just like, hey, we're in corporate. Let's try like entertainment. Let's try, doing kind of what we did in corporate into like entertainment, and we can start placing, different artists here, working with different studios, managing studios, just being that business aspect in entertainment, which was missing too. So we were like, we found that solution. We did really well, and that's how, you had Alex on here. That's how we connected, because he just loves music. He loved, working in the studio. He also did ETA Talent with us, but he wasn't as passionate about the corporate aspect as he was about the entertainment side, and that was really cool though. I mean, like, hey, more power to you. Like, Alex is a great guy. He's gonna kill it in the entertainment music industry for sure. Um, but yeah, so we did that for a season, and I wanted to get back to corporate because I was like, you know what? In entertainment, I learned so much about culture and like people. It was more of like a in-face people type of. There's no red tape. There's no things that you just can't cross. You can have authentic conversations with people. You can be transparent. You can sit on the couch. Smoke. These things like this was happening in front of me, and I'm able to like see these. These are great people. Some of these people were wealthy. Some of these people were great business minds. Just in a creative space. And I was just like, you know what? I want to get back to corporate and make it safe for creatives in that space, and transform corporate culture to where it can be a place where people can thrive and be themselves. And it was just like based on the stats that I was like always, I always had in the back of my mind where, 75% of the workforce is going to be millennials, and by 2020, what is it, 2024, 2025, and millennials being the most diverse generation to ever walk this face of the earth. I was like, okay, so we still got a lot of these, older, and there's nothing against older gentlemen or older women, but they just have like a different mindset. We still have a lot of them within corporate, and still doing some of the same practices. How about we create solutions for, integrating the new culture that is going to be coming in, which also has the largest buying power. So yes, we have a lot of leverage, and yes, maybe you should probably cater to that. And that's when Bolt became a thing, and we took Bolt, which stands for Building Opportunities and Leveraging Talent, became a pretty unique situation within our community. Much like what you're doing now, I did it for panels, and we gave other entrepreneurs opportunity to share their story, that who were within corporate. They were either entrepreneurs or they were within corporate to just share their story, authentic stories, to the community. And a lot of the community, we our audience was like a lot of corporate, tech, um, accounting. Ooh, excuse me, I had some lobster earlier. That's what yeah, yeah, I need some water. I'm like,
I love that, Josh. I love that.
okay, sorry. Um,
Totally fine. It's great.
I hope you edit that part out. Anyways,
No, we're gonna keep it because it's authentic.
there you go. Hey, I'm all about that. All right, so where was I? Yeah, so with Bolt, we were like I said, we were engaging the community, and we were collecting data while we were doing this, and I'm just like, okay, we're engaging. What do people like? We're creating these experiences, and people are able to retain better information from these authentic presenters. And this is when the real impact happened. And that's what corporate could say behavioral change could happen. Was whenever we were doing these things, and I was just like, wow, this is really cool. Like we should definitely take this into corporate, as a whole. Cause like I said, we were doing it for the community. We partnered with Microsoft. They were on this community initiative where they wanted to bring the community together, and I'm like, great, we want to do the same thing. We want to bring the community together with corporate as culture, And impact. So we had this, it was some great meetings. Ended up getting the ball rolling on that. Partner with them. We ended up taking this partnership to LA. Went to the Microsoft in LA, sold that event out, and we were about to work with Google. And this is like fast forwarding to the beginning of this year, or yeah, it was like yeah. So fast forwarding, I've done Bolt for about a year. So fast forwarding to the beginning of this year, like I said, we went to LA, we sold out. There was a representative from Google there, and he was just like, "Hey, we want you guys to come do this here at Google next month. We're going to be getting these kids in. They're going to be busing. It's going to be the first time it's in Silicon. There's going to be the first time they utilize the new their new campus in this particular way. They're going to bust these inner city kids in." And I'm just like, "Yes, this is perfect." Like, I'm so excited. Then COVID happened, and I was just like, "Okay, interesting." It's another little pivot we're gonna have to take because we were doing live events, and we waited to hear back from Microsoft on how they wanted to approach the virtual thing. End up doing the virtual thing, but in this, we were still working with different companies because we were doing the same thing. We took these what we do, which was create these experiences, and we turned them into activations for companies. So we'll do experimental marketing events for them. And this is, we pitched it as like, hey, this will help you reach a larger demographic. They'll be engaged. It's through these experiences, it's community, sense of belonging, and we were able to tie all of these things. And at the time, I wasn't like I was like it was coming all together, but it just wasn't connecting fully. It wasn't until quarantine happened, truth be told, it wasn't until quarantine happened that I was able to actually quantify the impact that we were having within corporate. um and that's very important. Like, I was just like, I have all this data, I have like these all these experiences created, I have these companies that support it, I have these people that really love the vision. Like how do I piece everything together? And that's just the beauty of it all. Like, as an entrepreneur, just for anyone who's out there who's an entrepreneur, like, you're not gonna have it figured out all at once. Like, trust me, for me, you're not gonna have it figured out at once, and you don't need to. You just need to keep going no matter what. And that's what we did as a team. That's what we did as a unit. We just kept going. I appreciate the team who believed in me, still believe in me. They were able to, make things happen. It was a huge part to the team who were able to, gain that confidence of an audience and other companies to just, to come on board. And you can't do it yourself. So like, I owe a huge part, like I said, to my team. Um, but yeah, like I said, it wasn't until COVID that we were able to quantify this, and we took what it is to bridge the gap between culture and corporate, and basically quantify what that actually means. And that's where we are now, and that's why we're working with corporate companies, and we're focusing on experiences, diversity, inclusion, because that's just what we do naturally. Like, that's not even something that I really just sell. I'm not like, hey, we diversity inclusion. Like, you haven't heard me say anything about that. Just because you don't, like, you don't have to sell the sugar that's in the candy. It's like already there. That's just who we are. My team's very diverse. That's what I do. Like, I try to, get as much cognitive diversity as I can within events. It's never going to be just one person or everyone's going to look the same. That's never how it is. We're very diverse altogether. So I figured it out. I have the what would I say? The secret recipe to making a unique cognitive environment that's diverse and inclusive, where you're able to engage um, great individuals and retain top talent. So this is what I figured out and what we were doing. And now, Bull is going national on November the 5th. Will we be relaunching our website? So our website's down right now because we're, building up the anticipation, and I'm like super excited. We're gonna have like different things on there, forums like for corporate individuals to write, certain initiatives that they wish their company was doing. We're gonna have like, free surveys that, obviously could help companies, optimize, or like, I should say, identify, where opportunities are within that company. Let's say like engagement's down, they can see, okay, in finance, Mark said X, Y, and Z about the manager. Oh, three other people said that. So let's retain our top talent and talk to this manager and figure out what's going on, where the disconnect is, So things like that we'll be providing on the website. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited. And yeah, that's the origin story, I would say, in a nutshell. I don't even know how long that was. Like that was my, like I said, my first time really doing anything like this, because like I'm usually on the other side of this and just trying to make things go for us. So it's really cool to sit back and kind of share that. So
And what was funny is before we started this, you're like, "I don't even know if I could talk for like 30 or more minutes."
yeah, did I talk 30 minutes? Okay.
No, I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
sometimes we think, "Oh, I don't have that much to say," and then we
yeah,
start talking, we realize we really do have a story to share.
right. That's true. I 100% agree with you on that.
And I know we talked about a couple of the questions that I want to ask, but actually in my gut, I want to ask this instead.
Okay.
How do you how did you learn about wellness as a man, and how do you then stay sane doing all the things you're doing?
Okay. How did I learn wellness? As a
Mental
man,
wellness,
yeah,
yeah.
that's a very interesting question, because I definitely think it's different for men and women. We're not gonna jump into that. For me, how I learned wellness was after my injury. I realized that I had to start taking better care of my body, because I wasn't gonna be able to do the things that I was able to do and naturally do anymore. So just one of the ways that I stay sane would be yoga, constant yoga. I do yoga about 3 times a week. Excuse me.
Mhm.
I do yoga about 3 times a week. Practice meditation. These things is what has literally got me through. I didn't share this part, but I was homeless at one point, and I had a friend who had a lifetime membership, and I was able to use his family and friends like pass or whatever, and that's basically where I just like chilled. I wouldn't say chilled, but like where I got my mind right, I should say, and wellness up during that duration of time that I was homeless. I mean, it was just a completely different lifestyle, and that was another experience that I got to experience and see people living differently and better. And I'm just like on that constant growth track of just wanting to be better and wanting to constantly, grow. And you can't do that if you're not healthy. Like you can't even be a great entrepreneur if you're not healthy, if you're not focused, if you're not aware, if you're not present. These things are very important to anyone's career. If you're in entrepreneurship, if you're in corporate, if you're in entertainment, if you're in sports, you can't do any of these things without being well. So I had to take that very, very, I took that very, very, it was very important to me, I should say. Um, and since then, since lifetime yoga homeless me, I have always been doing it. I ended up, getting my own official membership once things, started, turning for me and things started going in the right direction for me. I ended up getting my own membership there and, continuing the classes. I would sign up for the class and be like one of the first people there, because it's just like I'm looking forward to this making my day and week better. And that's exactly what it does. When you're like you just learn to be present, because like most entrepreneurs, like you can't be all the way there. Like, because some of the things that we do, like we're not we're different. You know what I'm saying? Than some, and even in corporate, like the headhunters in corporate, or like the people, the go getters in corporate, like you may be different than the average person. You're probably watching this. You're not average because you're trying to be better. You're wanting to get better. Um, and that's where my mind was at, and that's how I stayed sane when I was like I said, I was homeless, not even feeling homeless by doing yoga. Honestly, truly. Now that I think about it, in hindsight, truly, it changed my life, and kept me sane, because anyone could have lost it in that time.
And what does yoga do for you? How does it help you stay mentally healthy?
Okay. One of the things I mentioned, just being present and aware. Um, when you're, let me say this. So starting off, you'll be like, they'll be like, count your breaths. I would lose count my breaths like after three. I would be like, what am I gonna eat today? Like, where did she's like, you know what I'm saying? That's what yoga really did for me. It caused me to actually be here right now, and that's what's most important. And a lot of people fail to realize that, and they forget that living in the present is how you're able to take action. Because living in the future or living in the past, you're not able to move forward. You're just going to be like either so distant in the future where you're not able to move forward. You're just thinking about the past, you're not even able to even think about the future or think about present. So it really took it really gave me a sense of awareness um, and inner strength to keep going while being present.
Mhm.
Deal with the pain right there. Don't, go smoke. Don't go. I didn't have to go do these things because or go drink with friends. Like it was just being present. Like it's a lot of the time what people do when they're hurt or what people do when, they're not feeling well is replace these things with, stuff that, futuristic things or like you basically like I say smoking that basically takes you to like a different place. You're not usually like right here right now. So I replaced those things as I wouldn't say like I replaced them totally. Let me not lie, like I'm not gonna lie to you guys, like I I could smoke every now and then, but it was definitely something that I didn't use as a coping mechanism anymore.
Mhm.
It was something that I was able to be also aware of when I was smoking and why I was smoking, um,
Mhm.
or why I was going out and why I was out trying to feel this way, just to replace some of the hurt and the pain that I've experienced in my life and trying to grow and overcome these things. So that's definitely what yoga taught me, just like that sense of awareness and being present.
And I think what's wonderful now, well, yoga in my mind used to be something that cost a lot of money and you had to pay quite a hefty fee to go. Like you found a place, you had your friend's card and you would go. And what I appreciate now about the interwebs is anyone can go on and find, with internet access,
Right.
find a yoga video on YouTube and
Mhm.
start that practice and start
Mhm.
it today and just commit to oneself to do it daily. So I'm so
Yeah.
stoked you shared that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Josh, how can people find you?
Uh, People can find me on Instagram at jhunteta. On LinkedIn, you could just type in Josh J Hunt. That's because there is another Josh Hunt out there. He actually sent me this funny meme with Spider-Man, like they were pointing at each other. It was so hilarious. Like I was like, wait, I didn't get it at first, but then I was like, oh wait, his name's Josh Hunt too. That was really weird. So I changed my name to Josh J Hunt on LinkedIn. Like I said, we'll be having our website up live in November, beginning of November, and that'll be etabolt.com. You can find my business page at ETA Bolt. And yeah, so that's definitely where you guys can find me if you're interested in connecting. I look forward to connecting with you guys.
Yes, thanks everyone. Thank you, Josh, so much for chatting with me today. It was really dope meeting you and hearing your story.
I really
So,
appreciate
mahalo, everyone, and have a good day. Bye.
it. All right. See you guys.
I also want to give a shout out to Startup Hut, who's working with Kilo to develop and produce this podcast. Startup Hut dedicates itself to democratizing access and eliminating geographical barriers to a diverse community of like-minded founders, mentors, and investors dedicated to building successful startups. They organize live stream virtual pitch events and are building an online community of entrepreneurs that can leverage a network of investors, mentors, and partners and access community perks and resources. If you're interested in pitching at one of their future pitch events or partnering with Startup, please contact George, George, at thestartuphut.com for more information. And you can find Kilo on your pocket computer or larger computer at www.kilo.app or on Insta at kilo.app. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye.